Everyone thinks Argentina will win the World Cup again. The defending champions. The team that finally gave football its perfect ending in Qatar. When people talk about favorites, one name comes up more than any other: Argentina. After all, they still have stars like Lionel Messi, Julián Álvarez, Enzo Fernández, Alexis Mac Allister, and the man who became a national hero in goal, Emiliano Martínez. So the debate seems over before it even begins. But what if everyone is wrong? What if the team most people expect to lift the trophy is actually facing problems nobody wants to talk about? Because history, pressure, age, and a rapidly improving football world are all working against Argentina. And by the end of this video, you might start wondering whether the defending champions are truly favorites at all. Winning one World Cup is difficult. Winning two in a row is almost impossible. Only Brazil and Italy have ever successfully defended their title. Think about that. Some of the greatest teams in football history failed to do it. Spain dominated world football between 2008 and 2012. Then they crashed out of the next World Cup in the group stage. Germany conquered the world in 2014. 4 years later, they suffered one of the biggest collapses in tournament history. Even France, led by Kylian Mbappé, couldn't defend their crown. The reason is simple. The moment you become champions, everyone studies you. Every weakness gets analyzed. Every tactical pattern gets exposed. Every opponent plays with extra motivation. Argentina won't enter the next World Cup as hunters. They'll enter as the hunted. And history suggests that's a dangerous position to be in. Let's talk about the biggest name in football, Lionel Messi. In Qatar, Messi produced one of the greatest World Cup performances ever. When Argentina needed inspiration, he delivered. When they needed leadership, he stepped forward. When they needed magic, he created it. But football never stops moving forward. Messi remains a genius, but he is no longer the player he was at his physical peak. The question isn't whether Messi is still great. Of course he is. The question is whether Argentina can still rely on him to carry the team through an entire World Cup, because eventually responsibility must shift to the next generation. Players like Julián Álvarez, Enzo Fernández, and Alexis Mac Allister have shown enormous quality. But replacing the influence of Messi is one of the hardest challenges any national team could face. And nobody knows exactly what Argentina will look like when that transition becomes unavoidable. Another issue people rarely discuss is age. Many of the players who lifted the trophy in 2022 are no longer entering their prime years. World Cups are physically brutal. The matches come quickly. Recovery time is limited. Every knockout game feels like a battle. Veteran players bring experience and composure, but younger teams often bring energy, speed, and intensity. Argentina must somehow find the perfect balance. Too many veterans, and they risk becoming slower. Too many young players, and they lose experience. It's a difficult problem, and every champion eventually faces it. The same cycle that helped Argentina rise could now become one of their biggest obstacles. While Argentina has been enjoying life as world champions, the rest of football hasn't stood still. France still possesses frightening talent. Kylian Mbappé remains one of the most dangerous players in the world. England continues producing stars like Jude Bellingham. Spain has built an exciting new generation led by Lamine Yamal. Portugal has assembled one of the deepest squads in international football. And that's before we even mention dark horses. Every World Cup creates surprises. Nobody expected Morocco to reach the semi-finals in 2022. Nobody expected Croatia to keep shocking bigger nations for years. The reality is that football has never been more competitive. The gap between the best teams is incredibly small. One mistake, one injury, one red card, one penalty shootout. That's all it takes to end a World Cup dream. One of Argentina's greatest strengths in Qatar wasn't tactical, it was emotional. The team had a mission. Win the World Cup for Messi. You could feel it in every celebration, every tackle, every comeback. The players believed they were fighting for something bigger than themselves. But now, they've already achieved the dream. The trophy has already been lifted. The story has already been written. Recreating that same level of hunger is incredibly difficult. Meanwhile, teams like France, England, Portugal, and Spain are still chasing their dream. The challengers are hungry. Argentina must prove they're still just as hungry after reaching the top. Pressure changes everything. Before Qatar, Argentina played with hope. Now they play with expectation. Fans expect them to win. The media expects them to win. The football world expects them to win. And that pressure can become exhausting. Every draw becomes a crisis. Every poor performance becomes a headline. Every tactical decision gets questioned. Many defending champions didn't fail because they lacked talent. They failed because carrying the weight of expectations became too difficult. Argentina now carries that same burden, and history suggests it's heavier than most people realize. Here's the biggest mistake football fans make. They assume the best team always wins. But that's not how the World Cup works. The World Cup rewards the team that performs best in a small number of matches. A single bad night can destroy years of preparation. A single mistake can change history. Argentina doesn't need to become a bad team to lose. They simply need to face an elite opponent having a better day. And in modern football, there are many teams capable of doing exactly that. That's why predicting another Argentine triumph is much riskier than people think. Now, does this mean Argentina cannot win another World Cup? Absolutely not. They remain one of the strongest teams on the planet. They have world-class talent, world-class experience, and the confidence that comes from already reaching the summit. But football has never been about guarantees. History is against them. The pressure is greater. The competition is stronger. And the margin for error is smaller than ever. So while everyone is busy predicting Argentina to win again, they may be overlooking one simple truth. The hardest thing in football isn't winning the World Cup. It's staying on top after you've already won it. And that's exactly why everyone could be wrong about Argentina. What do you think? Will Argentina defend their crown? Or will another nation shock the football world? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to Football Origins for more football stories from around the world.